Welcome to Ignite to Impact, a weekly podcast about next generation leadership and what it takes to make a difference at work, with family, and in your community. Get ready to be inspired as we pull back the curtain and dive into intimate and energetic conversations with achievers and doers who are in the trenches navigating workplace politics and influencing change. Get ready to hear how leaders fail and get back up, learning how to keep it together while traveling in their leadership journey. Our mission: to help you with leadership tips and strategies that you can use to get fast results and help make your business, community, and world a better place. Now, here's your host, Master Leadership Strategist, Dr. Geneva Williams. So, let's ignite to impact.
Welcome to Ignite to Impact, the podcast. This is Dr. Geneva, and I'm just so delighted that you're with us again for another fantastic conversation. And you've probably joined me in a lot of podcasts, and I'm so glad you're out there and listening to the exciting dialogue and interesting stories as we dive deep into the hearts and souls of people who are making a difference in the community. But I've got a special treat. Now, all my guests are awesome. And if you've been listening to me over the years, you know that they are. But we've got a real special someone with me. And I'm right in studio today at Voiceover Productions with the awesome Gerald McBride. And both he and I are very excited, aren't we, Gerald?
Yes, we are.
And let me tell you why. Because we have the American vocalist, Mary Wilson. All right now, Supremes, the Supremes. I mean, like it's all about royalty. Mary Wilson, who helped garner an unequal record of number one hits by a female group recording for Motown. Mary guided the Supremes into rock and roll history, turning this group into one of the three icons, an iconic female group of the 1960s. Oh my goodness, I can just hear the music and snapping my fingers and all of that, because she was so much a part of my life, and many of you listeners out there, I know she and the Supremes were part of your life. Well, guess what? She's right here in studio with me. Now, I know you're figuring, okay, so what's this Ignite to Impact and Mary Wilson and Supremes? How does that all come together? Well, we're going to tie it all together. So, of course, we're going to have some conversation about the music, but we're also going to talk about the impact, not only the impact in the music world, but the impact in the community and for our young girls. So Mary Wilson is in Detroit, helping us celebrate figure skating in Detroit, and you'll learn all about that. Mary Wilson, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to be home.
Yes, you are home.
Yeah, it's amazing because I have been a part of figure skating in Harlem for about 20 years. And it's amazing because I started, and of course now they started here. About 20 years ago, I was living actually in New York, and I went to NYU, got my associate's degree, because my mom, who couldn't read nor write when we were growing up, well, she never learned how to read nor write, always wanted us to have, get an education and go to college. Our biggest dream was that one of her children would attend college. Of course, we, the Supremes, became famous at the age of 18 or 19, so we never went to college, because why do you go to college? To make more money. To get better jobs. So we were doing that, so we didn't go to college. But I always kept that in my mind, that, that's something I wanted to do. And then we were, jet setting around the world, hanging out with kings and queens and princes and all those kind of people. And sometimes I would feel a little inadequate. And because, we'd be hanging out and talking with them, and I'm like, didn't have the kind of education. Although here in Detroit, I mean, the educational system was great when I was in school at Northeastern High.
Okay.
Hey.
All right.
We had a great educational system here in Detroit, I feel. And so I always felt okay in that area, but then hanging out with people who were on such a high status, sometimes it can make you feel, not quite as good as they are. And so when I was in New York, actually before I went to New York, my son Ralphie passed. He died in a car accident. And I moved to New York because I just needed a whole new sort of thing to get into. And when I went there, I said, well, what can I do, to really challenge myself? And that's when I decided to go to NYU.
Okay.
And that's also when I met Sharon of the figure skating in Harlem. And they invited me to come down and see the girls skate in Harlem there. And I was just so taken with it that I donated some money to help them buy costumes for the skaters and all. And I just began to be a part of that for so many years. And then, of course, I moved away. So it was I wasn't as involved as I wanted to be. But when Sharon called me, emailed me, everything is emailed now, but back before it was, anyway, I'm still not up on all that. But anyway, she asked me if I would come to Detroit because they're opening up a new wing of figure skating in Harlem here in Detroit. And I'm like, well, hey, why not?
Right, absolutely.
And
I don't know if you remember us meeting, because before we launched, Sharon and Sharon Cohen, who was the founder of figure skating in Harlem, had this fabulous gala.
Yes.
And you, Mary, were the mistress of ceremony, and I think you were the MC for a number of years. I did. Exactly. Yes. And so Sharon showed this fabulous video that previewed the coming of figure skating in Harlem to Detroit, and I was on that video and spoke about it.
Yes.
And after it was over and after you got off stage, you began to look for me and I began to look for you.
Yes,
and we found each other and we said, Detroit, we've got to get together, and here you are.
Yes, well, it was very nice of them to have me every year at the galas, and I would, I'd kind of act crazy and do, I'm from Detroit, so, we like to have fun.
Yes.
And so that's why when I realized it was someone like yourself who was there, I wanted to make sure I connected with you. And so that was a sign up. So I had just seen Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers on TV, and I'm like, I'm going to go up there and do that. So I borrowed my brother's do-rag and some jeans and black leather jacket and put the hair, the comb in my back pocket. And
you put a comb in your back pocket? Oh, my goodness, I wish I could see it.
I shouldn't say a comb, a pick.
Oh, a pick, that's right, a pick.
A pick, right. So anyway, I went up there and I pantomimed to their song, I'm Not a Juvenile Delinquent. And that was the beginning of my singing career. I mean, I always sang, but I never thought I could sing. I mean, I just wake up. I thought everybody woke up in the morning singing. I just kind of just where my thing was.
Yes.
And so when I signed up on this program, I did it because there was something about it. And on the same program was Florence Ballard.
Okay.
And she was singing Ave Maria. So after the show, after this little talent show, she and I kind of migrated together, and we said, she admired she said, you had everybody in the gymnasium, girl, they was like, go Mary, go Mary, go Mary. And I said, your voice was so beautiful, because she started singing, Ave Maria. And I was like, and we're only 13 years old.
That's right. Okay. Oh my goodness. And so this was the first time the two of you met.
Yes, that's the first time we met. And in the Prodigy, you saw everybody.
That's right.
There were hundreds of people.
Absolutely.
But you didn't know everybody.
Right.
And so
and you all immediately connected.
There
was that energy.
We walked home after that and said, my God, everyone's starting these little groups. Let's remember each other. A couple of weeks later, she runs up to me. She says, my sister is dating this guy in a group called The Primes.
The Primes?
The Primes.
You mean the forerunner to the Temptations, Primes?
Yes.
All right, please, go
Eddie
ahead.
and Paul Williams. And
Oh, my
so she
goodness.
said her sister told them about her, and then one of the guys knew Diane, who lived right across the street from me, and they say, this girl Diane, she can really sing, so have them all come over to our apartments. Well, our parents would have killed us had they known. This is down by where the Flame Show Bar used to be.
Okay.
Right. And so anyway, we went over there, and that's when we met, Eddie Kendricks and Paul Williams, and it was Osborne. Can't think of his surname. And so that's when we met them, and they were the Primes. They said, we want to put together a little show and have a girls group, open up for us, and then, we come out and would you guys be interested? So Florence started singing a Ray Charles song, and the three of us started joining in because there was another girl there that we didn't know. She was a little older than we were, Betty. And so we started singing, and that started the Primettes. So they were the Primes, and we the Primettes.
Yes.
And we started doing record hops around Detroit. We did with Ernie Durham, some of his shows. We used to work at the Coast, I think it was a Gold Coast, I think the place was called. We worked at all the little...
Okay. Oh, my goodness.
So that's really how we started. But, I mean, in terms of getting to Motown, we just did a lot of record hops, and pretty soon we decided we wanted to do this for not a living, but we wanted to kind of like go further, and we auditioned. She says, you girls are just diamonds in the rough, and we're just here to polish you. That was such a wonderful thing. I remember that as if she was saying it right now.
As if she was standing right here.
Yeah. So that was something that, I knew. And I remember when we were still trying to get hit records, we were the first girl group at Motown. I must tell you that. All right. And when we were trying to get a hit record at Motown, they used to call us the No Hit Supremes.
Now, why was this?
Now, and every book that has come out since I've written my first two books have said that statement in there. But see, they don't know. I made that statement up because we were so cute that they were probably laughing behind our backs saying, so those Supremes think they're so cute. Hit Supremes. So I you know how people talk about you behind your back?
Absolutely.
So I kind of created that, and now everyone is in every book that has come out since then. So speaking about that, I mentioned I went to Northeastern High.
Yes.
I love Northeastern High. We had some great teachers there. Mr. Boone was a teacher at Motown that every student hated to be in his class because he would fail you.
Okay.
He was a good teacher.
He was a good teacher. He was one of those good, tough teachers.
You didn't want to be in his class.
Yes. Okay. All right.
So I remember when I first went in there in the 9th grade, I had all my little books, and I'm walking up there, and he called me up. He says, Miss Wilson, may I speak to you? And I'm like, how does he know my name? But we had been singing around Detroit, so we were the Primettes, right?
Okay.
And so he says, I know that you're going to be in my class. He says, I'm going to make sure you're going to be in my class, my English class, and we'll see if you need to be singing or whatever. So I was in English class every year until the 12th grade.
Okay.
Then by the 12th grade, he says, I know you still want to sing with that little group and you think you're going to be having some hit records. He said, but if you don't pass my class, you ain't getting out of here and you won't be touring with that little group. And so I wrote this paper that was eventually in the first chapter of my first book, Dream Girl, My Life with A Supreme. So when I wrote it, he read it to me. He said, Miss Wilson, may I speak to you? And I'm saying, oh my God, he's going to fail me. Oh my God. So anyway, he says, I read the little paper you sent in, and it was fabulous. I'm like, what? And he said, I'm going to give you an A+++. And it was about my life up to that point. And he says, I think you should become a writer.
Yeah, I was
forget about singing this little group.
Really? Yes.
Of course, he apologized later.
Later on, right, when you got all the hits.
Yes.
So you do write. You've authored 2 books, and so is writing different than singing?
I think that you're very fortunate when you can do a lot of different things. What is that phrase where you whatever but master of none? Okay. Jack of all trades, master of none. I do a lot of things. Yeah, but I haven't become a master at one. But see, it's not my goal, and I realize that now. It's not my goal to be a master of things. It's just to express and be able to do as many things. Being an entertainer does give you the opportunity to do other things. Here's what I tell my children. if you set out on a road and you keep walking forward, certain other roads come in and things just start coming in. But if you stand in one place, you don't get all those opportunities. You don't see the other opportunities that you could do. So always have more than just one goal,
But Mary, how do you keep it together doing all of those things? I mean, your life, you say, well, maybe you're not a master, but you seem like you be a master.
Well,
I mean, you're certainly a master in music.
You know what I have?
You write. You look
fun.
fabulous. How do you keep it all together, looking as good as you do?
I don't know if I keep it all together. I made some.
Well, it seems like
I made
that
a lot of mistakes.
Okay,
looking
all right.
back, but I enjoy myself. I think that's what it is. And something happened yesterday, and I said, I don't plan things, and when I plan something, it doesn't happen the way I planned it. So I have never been a person to plan anything. I just kind of live my life from moment to moment and keep moving. Like I said, keep on moving.
Okay, all right.
But
so you keep it moving.
I do. I just like to always be. I don't want to say busy, but I like to always be doing something. I'm always studying.
Okay,
maybe it came from my mom. She said, "I want you to get your education."
Okay, and you took care of that too, and so the glamour life. Obviously, that's what we see. As you were saying, that polishing that Mrs. Powell talked about. You all did it. I mean, you were the glamour girls, but yes, you talk about mistakes. Can you share with us? I mean, what was it like during that career, and what were some of the rough times?
Well, we had lots of rough times, but I think the part of being young helped a lot because we didn't really look at it as being that hard.
Yeah.
We worked hard hours. We studied, and Diane definitely studied hard. And I think the biggest thing that happened to us is that we all had the same idea about what we wanted to do. We all loved entertaining. Okay. I mean, Flo had a great voice. Obviously, we all know Diane's voice is great. And I was kind of like always in the middle. I didn't have a great voice, but I tell you, I love to perform. And still do. So enjoying, and this is what I try to say when I do lectures, that you're going to have to work hard unless you're rich, and there are very few of us who are rich. So you might as well work hard at something that you enjoy, the long hours you enjoy. So then it doesn't really matter. For us, going to Motown back in the 60s it was like heaven. I mean, like going into heaven, a Disneyland Motown type thing. I remember when Marvin Gaye first came there. Oh God, he was just so cute. All the girls.
Was he fine? Yeah, I know. We could say. I know he was fine.
Every girl. I don't care if she worked in the office or she was a singer, whatever. We'd all be like, "Oh my God, he's so fine." We were there. We the Supremes were there when little Stevie Wonder first came in for his audition, and Berry Gordy said, "I want you girls to stay around me because I got this little guy coming in that Ronnie White of the Miracles is bringing, and he's a genius." And at the time, I'm like, "What is a genius?" I didn't know what a genius was. And so anyways, Stevie came in there and he started playing I guess he was 9 years old. He started playing every instrument in Studio 8. And we were like, oh, that's what it is.
Say yeah! Say yeah!
Smokey Robinson, The Miracles, Mary Wells, Mark Johnson. It was just, and Holland Dozier Holland, who eventually started writing all of our songs, our hit records. Just being around that talent, the creativity was so wonderful. It was just, everyone was just into that. That's what made it so beautiful for me. And, for years, we as I said, were called the No Hit Supremes, but it didn't matter to us so much at that time because we were learning as we were going. So by the time we got the hit records, we were already pop. The friendship, we were three little black girls, as I said earlier, from the Brewster Projects, who we dared to dream. And I remember Paul Williams of the Temptations singing that song, The Impossible Dream. I had tears in my eyes when he sang that because it's true. It was an impossible dream for us to achieve what we achieved at that time. And I remember when Martin Luther King used to come out to some of the shows, he was always talking with Barry about business or whatever. We don't know what that was all about, but just being in those moments when change was happening here in America, and being a part of that, and being black women. I mean, we would travel around the world, and there were no women in anywhere except serving tea and coffee or whatever. Now you have people like yourself. You have women who are running for president, and back then women just weren't doing those kind of things out like that. So it was a time when we actually knew that we were in something very special. It was a very special time, and we were like right there at the right time. There were no one, I mean, everyone stands on somebody's shoulders, they always say, and it's true. We grew up watching people like Lena Horne, Ethel Waters, Dorothy Chandler, Josephine Baker, I mean, the whole slew of them. And, some of them were working Vegas and still had to like go through the back door, couldn't stay in the hotel. When we came along, we were able to come, must have been right at the top of that when everything opened up, and we were able to go right in there. Supremes did a lot of first. We kind of opened up a lot of the club things like the Copacabana in New York, Talk of the Town in London, England, Coconut Grove and Hollywood. We endorsed Hubert Humphrey. We had commercials, Coca-Cola commercials, an Arid commercial. We did a lot of first.
Absolutely.
And for us at the time, we knew, because our parents had said, now when you walk out the door, you're representing all of us. So when we got there, we knew what we had to do, but we were still having fun. I say that, but then I want to bring up how everyone is different and everyone handles it differently. My dear friend Flo was abused when she was 14. We were still the primettes at the time, and this basically destroyed her life. And so I always get very, very upset when people say, oh yeah, she's an alcoholic, she's yeah, but you don't know why. Back then people didn't talk about those things, so therefore they didn't get the care to help them through. Now we got the Me Too, where women are coming out talking and saying, and it's a good thing. About it, but what about the ones who came along when you couldn't say anything? So when we became famous, I personally thought that Flo would get over that hurt. I didn't know the depth of it. I was young myself. I didn't know the depth of what she was going through. It destroyed her inside. So even though and I tell people, when just because you're rich and famous and you're making money, that's not enough to keep you happy. You got to really take care of what's inside. I always love the song, Michael Jackson, The Man in the Mirror. We all have got to look in that mirror and face up to things and admit it to ourselves at least. Once you do that, then it could be easier, but Flo never got that the help. And
what your conversation about you all as young girls, and even as young girls, the role models that you were, it's easy to think and see and remember you as role models with the glamour and the singing, and you were always there. But the role modeling you're talking about, breaking the barriers, standing up, going through the trials and tribulations, those are the things that a lot of our young girls need to hear about more these days. Is that the kind of work that you're doing now, as you're trying to be that, again, another phase of role modeling as you work in the charity work that you're doing, figure skating in Harlem? Why are those things important?
Well, I remember where I came from.
Okay.
I remember where I came from, and I didn't have a lot of people earlier on tell me that I was cute or pretty, or that I was smart, or that I was whatever. No one ever told me any of that. So I had to really always kind of deal with things myself. And when I got with Flo and Diane and Betty in the very beginning, I started then at that point knowing what it felt like to receive love from an outside sort of thing. And people like Mrs. Powell, we had Charlie Atkins, who did our choreography, which is just great. And Mr. Barry Gordy, who took us on. first of all. So we had a lot of people who were caring for us. We always had chaperones. Always had chaperones. And of course, just growing up in that era of being black and being told you got to work harder than everyone else to be okay, it's something that now in my life, not now, ever since then, I decided that I wanted to be, I was always a caretaker. I mean, I was the eldest in my family. So, I mean, I raised my brothers and sisters when my mom wasn't there, So I was always had that role of being the older sister and being helpful. And it just kind of I didn't make a conscious thought to saying that's what I want to be. Just that's the way my life unfolded, and I followed it. And not always. I mean, sometimes I decide, get on the wrong track. A lot of times.
Yes, okay.
But for the most part, I think intention is very important in life, and a lot of times, we don't know that. Because my mother didn't read and write, we never had newspapers in the house, so I never had someone to tell me certain things, and I just had to figure it out. But I figured out that intention is very, very important, and if we pay attention to what it is we really want in life and how we want life to be, you might stray here and there, but you got to get back up and keep on moving. You can't let something stop you. A mistake, I made a mistake, so now I'm going to stay here forever. Right. It's like, no, honey, I'm the kind of person, I like to have a party and have
that fun.
I want everybody else to have fun, because it's no fun having the party all by yourself.
Yes, indeed, that is the truth.
I like to party with folks.
So tell us about your charity work, the work you're doing.
The reason that I got into this particular organization, figure skating in Harlem / Detroit now, is because I love children. I have 3. And I adopted a son, so I actually have 4. And then, of course, I lost one of my sons. But I've always loved the aspect of children and helping children. I mean, that's always been very, very first on my mind. So it was just natural. All the charities that come across my desk, a lot of them are for children. And this one in New York for the figure skating in Harlem and now in Detroit is because it's skating. Well, when I was in school, I was too poor to have skating lessons. I never learned how to ice skate. And so I thought that was so cute to see these little girls, 5 and 6 and 7 years old, out there skating, and they just do it. They look so beautiful and elegant. I did think of becoming a ballerina when I was younger, so they kind of remind me of that, the gracefulness of that, and so I just, it was just something I decided to do. I have a lot of charities that I'm involved with.
Tell us about them.
But this is, the ones about the children are my favorite.
Your favorites.
And I've been with them for 20 years.
Yes.
But I've done one, people might remember when Princess Christina had this one where she was with Humpty Dumpty, where she went to different places where bombs had been dropped. So when she died, that organization, Humpty Dumpty organization, asked me if I would take on that, and which I've done. So I've traveled the world to Laos and Vietnam, and I've helped people to destroy these bombs that we Americans have dropped on lands, and they are still there. Some of them are unexploded, and children pick up these for scrap metal to take to their parents so that the parents can get money for them. So that's something I did for a long time, and I do a lot of lectures for homelessness.
Yes, you do.
And for abuse situations. I was in a marriage that was, he was cute, but he was a little abusive.
Okay, all right.
And so I started, doing a lot of lectures on that, and I speak to people.
So your life experiences, you really share that with others.
Well, it's that, but what makes me do it is more of trying to how can I say, explore myself. It's all about, it's really about me.
Oh, okay. So tell us about that.
I started lecturing because I really, when I was very young, I never spoke. I grew up in a household where you were a child. You were what? You didn't say much.
You seen but not heard. Not heard. Okay.
I was in that kind of.
Okay.
I was raised by an aunt who was a Leo. I ended up marrying a Leo too, but that's a whole nother interview.
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
we'll have to get back to that.
but I was so afraid when I was very, very little that I never spoke. I never spoke, and so it's something that now I'm able to. In fact, somebody says, "Shut up, Mary." I'm able to talk because I have. I have all this inside that I'm trying to learn how to express. I'm taking acting classes to help me there. So everything I do basically is just trying to help myself to grow. I mean, I think that's what life is all about.
Yeah, and so so your lectures and the charity work you're doing, you're just learning and discovering yourself.
Yeah, right.
And it's a lifelong process.
Well, you think that when you here's what I thought. It took me forever to get to be 21. I mean, I was like, when am I ever going to get to be 21 so I can be grown?
Right, that's what we all say.
I want to be grown. And it took me forever. Then you find out, I found out once you got 21, it's still, you still don't know everything you think you do. So I found in life, we mentioned you're Pisces, I'm a Pisces. I turned 74 March 6th.
And you look fabulous.
Your birthday is March 2nd?
March 2nd.
So I'm only finding out now that, you're still learning. I mean, every phase, you're like, oh my God, I mean, I thought I should have known that, but I don't. I'm still learning. So it's
and so
good.
where do you get the energy from?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. Well, my
it probably has a lot to do with your outlook on life.
I think so. Yeah. But I enjoy life. Let's put it that way. I always. I mean, when I was young, even though I was kind of restricted in terms of being totally outgoing, I was never outgoing. But inside, I was outgoing. You see. So I don't know. I learned. I was always in awe of life. I always thought life was beautiful. I mean, the sky, the people, the everything, it was just beautiful. And I still feel that way. But now I know it's not all beautiful, but it still is like your outlook and what you think inside. Yeah.
Is that joy and that appreciation, that deep appreciation for life and living, is that what gives you your voice, your beautiful music, the way you sing? Is that where it comes from? Where it comes from?
My joy is my joy. I think that everyone is born with something, and I think I was just born with that. I don't try to cultivate it in terms of I got to be joyful today, But I think I've just always had that, and I'm so happy for it because I've seen around me people who are totally unhappy, and it's very sad. When I think about my friend Flo, how sad her life came. It really, that actually helped me to start growing up at that point. Because I saw that how life really can be very, very. So unless you hold on to whatever it is you were given, and then I tell my son, you may not hear me now, but just listen. So when the time comes, and when it comes your time to do certain things, you'll say, oh. That's what Mom was talking about.
What she's talking about. So he'll hear your voice.
Don't close off things that are coming to you. I did a lot of times. I closed off a lot of times, but anyway, I've been able to do a lot of things, so I'm very happy about that.
Well, we're happy that you're. All of that beauty that comes out in your voice and the works you do. Figure skating in Harlem, now Detroit. I love the skating part. I really do. It's so great.
How did you get it?
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to share because, the skating was fabulous and I loved seeing the same way, just seeing these young little girls. But what hooked me was the youth development leadership part. Because really the figure skating is like the carrot that kind of pulls these young girls in, and once they come in, then we go through how to speak, how to what are your grades looking like, how do you can start a business, how you can be all you can be to build that confidence that that they're diamonds, they just need polishing.
That's exactly what we had.
What it does. That's what grabbed me, and so it's just, and I just figured that this was just a way to contribute.
Yes.
A way to try to make a path, to make opportunity. Because, our girls got everything, just like you. We got all the talent. They got all the talent.
Yes,
they got all
yes.
that. It's just about having the opportunity.
Opportunities. Motown was our opportunity.
Yes.
Now, where are they going to skate? That's another.
Well, that's the other thing. We're lucky here in Detroit, in the Detroit area. That is cold. We got an indoor rink, so that's where they do most of their skating. Do you remember the Jack Adams Butzel Center over there on Linden?
No.
Around Linden. So anyway, that's an indoor rink. But then
great.
Campus Martius, with their outdoor rink. They've been down there and performing. And then we have this wonderful relationship with the Detroit Skating Club out there in Bloomfield Hills.
Yes, so that's good, yes.
So we've got the facilities. So it's just wonderful.
Well, how do the young ladies get involved? I mean, what is the process here in Detroit?
Much of it is, Mary, is word of mouth.
Okay.
It's very much like, really how your opportunity happened as you were growing up. It happened, and something was going on in the neighborhood, and someone told somebody else. And so we did a lot of announcing about it, but that word of mouth spread quickly. Right, and then we did some workshops, and young girls came, parents got excited, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yes.
But then it spread, and so it's that kind of impact that we're really trying to make on young girls. That's why I was so delighted that we could have, be in conversation with you because of the impact you make just by your conversation about how you started off.
Sure.
And where you are today and all that you've learned.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's just, that's the kind of impact our girls need to hear all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So tomorrow we'll be doing Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
So for our listening audience, we just want you to know that the reason that Mary Wilson is in town is because we're celebrating the year event of figure skating in Detroit being here, and we want to say thank you to everyone who supported us, but also, Mary, we're previewing our excitement about the 2019 U.S. National Skating Championships that will be held here in Detroit for the first time since I think it was 1994. So that's really, really great and new. So we'll be at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra tomorrow.
Yes.
And we're going to have the girls there, and we're going to have our sponsors there, and just really have a good time. And so that's why we wanted to take the opportunity of you being in town, being over here at Voiceover Productions with the Gerald McBride, and talking about your singing career, but more so, I mean, the impact you made in music is wonderful, and we love it. We revere you, all that sort of good stuff.
Thank you.
But what you're doing now, not only what you're doing for the work you're doing internationally, the work you're doing for these young girls, figure skating, that's fabulous. But also how you're sharing your story about your self-learning and how you're continuing to learn. Who was it who called you the cultural connector? Someone called you that.
Colin Powell.
Was that Colin Powell?
Yes.
Yeah, why'd he call you that?
Well, because
I know, but I want you to.
I was actually appointed along with a lot of other celebrities to be to go around the world and speak about America. And so I remember when we did a Pearl Bailey show once, Miss Pearl Bailey told us that she was an ambassador, and I was so impressed. I was like in my 20s. So when Colin Powell and Patricia Harrison asked me if I wanted to be a part of their Cultural Connect ambassador thing, I said, well, yes, because I remember Pearl Bailey, how proud she was. So I traveled the world. I went to many countries in Africa and spoke, on just the U.S. policies, you know, and the AIDS epidemic and just all kinds of things. And it was very gratifying. I was very honored to have been asked by Colin Powell to do that. So, you know, like I said, you know, being in the right place, you know, you can do a lot of different things just doing that. I don't know how much time we have, but I just want to mention I do have a gown exhibit that travels the world.
Yes.
It's about 35 gowns, more than that actually, at various museums around the world.
Now, what are these gowns? These
are all
gowns?
Supreme's gowns.
Ooh,
now, I shouldn't say all because there are some Supreme gowns that are still missing. If anybody has them, they belong to me.
Okay.
Or to Diane.
All right.
You know, because there are some missing. I actually had to buy some back off of eBay. They were stored here in Detroit, Michigan at Motown, and when they tore the building down, I think people absconded with some of our gowns.
Oh, so you have the
I have 50 of them.
You got 50.
I say 50 sets.
Okay.
50 sets. But I mean, there are still some of our earlier gowns that are missing.
Oh, my goodness.
So if they show up anywhere, remember they don't belong there.
Okay. But so you're taking the 50 that you do have, and that's an exhibit that travels?
It's a Mary Wilson collection, and it travels. And we were at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. We were here at Detroit Museum.
Okay.
The Historical Museum. It was here about 3 or 4 years ago. Mrs. Powell was part of the event then.
At the African American Museum, probably.
No, it was.
Oh, was that the Detroit Historical?
Yes, it was.
Museum. Okay, fabulous.
But it's touring the world, the world, and I'm very happy about that. So I have that going on. I'm still recording, and I'm writing another book, but I can't mention what it's all about.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, we'll be looking out for that.
And I'm taking acting classes. And
look at you.
I have a jazz show I'd like to bring back here to Detroit, where I do a lot of my American songbook songs like "No Complaints, No Regrets." I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets, but I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you got. I had my share. Oh, well, that's enough of that.
Oh, my goodness. See, but let me tell you, I had leaned back. I was in it. I was in the groove. Oh, that. Yeah, so I
finally found my voice. So I'm really glad. So I just want to give a shout out before we have to go to Florence's children. They're not children, her ladies.
Yes.
All the beautiful young ladies, their children, and all my friends. I just lost my very dear friend here. She and I were friends from the age of 7. Just lost her recently. So,
I'm so sorry.
To her family and just everyone. Hey, Bert's down there.
Yes, absolutely. And while you're doing shout outs, anything else that you want to leave, particularly for young girls who, what do you want to say to them?
Well, it's probably what I say all the time. You got to dare to dream.
Okay.
You really have to dare to dream, because people can say, "Oh, you're too fat, you do this, you're black, you white, you whatever, you can't do that, don't you? You can't do that." You must dare to dream, because dreams do come true. And from one little black girl from the Brewster projects, I'm here to tell you, they do come true. They can come true.
Ionic royalty.
From the Brewster projects.
Hey, I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. I am blessed, honored, and highly favored by having you in studio at VoiceOver Productions with Gerald McBride. Aren't you happy, Gerald?
Yes, that was
great. He's quiet.
He listening to everything. We are so happy you're here and rocking it. You look fabulous. And the reason you look so good, I believe. Okay, remember I asked you what was your secret. I do believe it's because of that inner spirit that you have. Because you've been polished. See, you said Ms. Powell talked about diamonds in the rough. You need polishing. Sure. You've been polishing. You've been polished, and I know that you're still on your self-learning journey. And just hearing you share that, I think, means so much. And
I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Was it Oprah Winfrey one time said to me, she says, "Mary, how does it feel to be so pretty?" I'm like, I don't know. I can never think about it. I think it's all from inside. And of course, she didn't believe me, but anyway, there you go.
Well,
but I
believe it.
I think it's inside, and hopefully, if it's God, don't fail me now.
That's right.
Let it keep on going, whatever it is. But I think that a lot of things, and even ugliness, comes from inside.
Absolutely, it all does.
Beauty's on the skin deep.
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to let our listening audience, and I just want to say thank you so much for listening to Ignite to Impact podcast. Again, we're coming to you from the studios of Voiceover Productions, Gerald McBride, the awesome voice. And it's been my soul pleasure to have in studio Mary Wilson, iconic royalty from the Supremes. But though you hear my voice now, the last voice that I want you to hear before we sign off is hers. Say something to us, Mary, and close us out.
Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be here, and I want to say to all my Detroit people, I talk about y'all all the time. They say, is Detroit coming back? I'm saying, Detroit's back, honey, okay? Because the folks are just so special. Well, I mean, I know that having grown up here. So as I said earlier, just dare to dream.
You've been listening to Ignite to Impact with your host, Dr. Geneva Williams, an award-winning executive, facilitator, and master leadership strategist. Dr. Geneva is passionate about inspiring others to get their own leadership on and empowering the next generation with leadership tools and tips to help make the world a better place. Sign up to download Dr. Geneva's audiobook on leadership. Get the show notes, links, and other resources at drgenevaspeaks.com. That's drgenevaspeaks.com. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast to those in your community via Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Google+, and leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. When you do that, it helps others find the show better. Send your questions or comments to info@drgenevaspeaks.com and use the